It is the Tan and J-Man show on a Wednesday night tonight. Thanks everybody for being flexible with their schedules and tuning in to the Tan and J-Man show live on the ISC Sports Network. Good to be here post 4th of July. How you doing tonight, T-Dog?
Doing good, J-Man. It feels kind of weird and unique to be doing this on a Wednesday night. It's not our first time ever not doing it on a Monday, but it's been quite a while. Had to keep the streak going, though. Had to keep it going for the 399th straight week. That's right. Next week is our 400th episode, and we are hoping to do something a little different for next week's episode. We want to try a different format. Hopefully everybody can contribute so we can do this. We are looking to do a full hour of Q&As next week, questions and answers. So if you have anything you're wondering, want to know Josh and I's opinion on, whether it be sports related or not, hit us up in the next few days leading up till next Monday. You can hit us up on all the Tan and J-Man Show social media channels, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter at Tan and J-Man Show is our handle on those, or you can DM our personal accounts if you want to as well. I'll probably drop a video tomorrow on the accounts asking for questions, but we've wanted to do this for a while. Hopefully it can come to fruition next week because I think it'd be a lot of fun and a different way to pass the time in the dog days of summer and to celebrate our 400th episode.
Yeah, All-Star break next week, so it could be a real rough one. So please, we're begging. We're begging you.
Yeah, it's I was feeling it today when I was out mowing before this podcast, and listening to another podcast, and it was college football related podcast, and they're like, oh man, they're like, at least we have media days, even though it's a bunch of nothing to talk about. It's something to talk about because I mean, for a while there, college football related, you're just waiting for any sort of content to talk about. So it's
when will our previews start? We're going to do 4 conferences this year.
Yeah, so August,
like the first week of August.
I think so.
I want to say we probably started in July last year because there's 5 conferences.
Right. I haven't done the math. I haven't done the math, but that sounds right to me. So,
yeah, just 2 weeks until camps open up for the NFL, which of course we're very much looking forward to.
Yep. I'm ready for football season. I've been ready for football season since college basketball ended, as you know, and everybody that's part of the Tan and J-Man Show Nation knows. My baseball fandom has just been going down and down every year. I still kind of keep up to date with it, mainly for this podcast. Really, if it wasn't for this podcast, I probably wouldn't even watch or look at the standings as often as I do. But got to help you out a little bit.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
But speaking of helping you out, I'm hoping I'm not helping you out by this birdie or bogey question tonight. I don't even know where are we sitting in our season total right now.
Let's see. You are winning. I'm 6 over here, 5 over. So in typical
we are awesome
Tan and J-Man show fashion, we are doing poorly.
We are so good at this. I'm just glad I have internet tonight, by the way.
Yeah.
Last week I had no internet and I had to jump on for the last 50 minutes or so from my phone. So even though we had to move this to Wednesday this week, at least we're both here and connected so far. Knock on wood. So with all that said, my birdie or bogey question tonight is NFL related. And there's 4 answers. So it's a multi-answer question. You get 3 for a par, 4 for a birdie. Name me the top 4 active quarterbacks in career playoff wins.
Okay. Playoff wins. Active quarterbacks, playoff wins. One obviously comes to mind. That's probably a given at this point.
Sure.
But that's a much tougher one than I was hoping to receive tonight. But Birdie or Bogey is brought to you by Arlington Public House. Arlington Public House is upscale cuisine and cocktails with a casual atmosphere located 703 Main Street in Rochester, Indiana. Tonight, drinks and appetizers are half off. All shareables / appetizers tonight, Wednesday night. It's not pizza night.
Yeah, I was thinking, wait a second.
No, I was like, wait.
I'm like, oh yeah, it's not Monday.
Yeah, as I mentioned last week, their summer menu looks fantastic. They have sticky ribs, fried mac and cheese burger, rattlesnake bites, strawberry balsamic salmon. Almost said salmon.
You did.
Remember John Salmons, former NBA player?
Yep.
But the Arlington Public Health summer menu looks absolutely fantastic.
What's your favorite appetizer? Yeah, man.
Oh man,
There's a lot of good ones. Or give me your top three.
Top three. Okay.
Top three appetizers. No order. Just
no
top three.
Particular order. Bruschetta is in the top three.
I would not have guessed that.
For sure. Okay. Soft pretzel bites or sticks, whatever they got.
That's one of my three. Yep. With some beer cheese.
And with some in any sort of cheese really, but beer cheese preferably. And then the last one, let's see. I'm trying to think of all the appetizers I get. In my opinion, wings are like an entire meal. Like
I agree.
I don't get mozzarella cheese curds.
There you go. That's you named two of my three.
Yeah. I can't believe I was forgetting cheese curds.
Yeah, I was hoping you weren't because I wanted to steal one, but. Yeah, curds and pretzel bites or pretzel sticks, depending on what the restaurant has, always a go-to for me. Another one, my wife and I get quite a bit. It's a queso dip.
Oh, I love queso.
Whether we're at a Mexican restaurant or even a different restaurant that has it, especially if they got like a chili con queso. I really like that. So, those three are probably the ones I order the most.
Now that I think about it, my wife and I get nachos quite a bit as an appetizer, like a brisket nachos or a chicken nachos, where if we're eating somewhere that offers that. So
your mom makes a fantastic buffalo chicken dip.
She is, yes, she does. She has not made buffalo chicken dip in a long time.
My chest is starting to hurt.
Yeah, about 2 bites in and my acid reflux. I've reached the age where I have to pop a preemptive Tums just in preparation for red sauce or
I should, but I don't.
Beer even. Chocolate.
I should, but I don't.
Yeah.
I ate some Chinese food last night and kept waking up in the middle of the night just on fire. I'm like, I'm thinking to myself, this is a new one. Like Chinese food usually doesn't do this to me, but
Tums are probably my number one necessity on my nightstand. Which I mean, we can complain about our age all we want, but honestly, it has a lot to do with our diets. Let's be honest.
100%. I don't want to admit it, but yes, you're 100% correct. 100% correct. But you kind of brought it up earlier, saying the All-Star break is next week. We know who's all made the All-Star game now for the AL and the NL. I was surprised to see there's 34 guys making their first ever career All-Star.
First ever, huh?
Yeah.
I just glanced at the list on whenever they announced it, Sunday or whatever, and one thing that's very apparent in Major League Baseball right now is they lack star power, especially on the National League side of things.
Yep.
Losing Juan Soto hurts. Of course, they have Shohei Ohtani, which helps. But, I mean, you also have a guy like Mookie Betts is hurt.
I'd say Bryce Harper.
Yeah, I would put Bryce Harper in that superstar.
Well, you're right.
Tier that people know. American League, of course, has Aaron Judge, who's probably the most – maybe second most marketable guy in Major League Baseball, mainly because he's obviously one of the best hitters of the past probably 10 years. But also he plays in New York. Shohei Ohtani is a global superstar in another stratosphere from anyone else to maybe ever have played the game at this point. So, but other than that, you just don't have that star power. And maybe it's a nostalgic thing where I remember, back when we were 12 years old looking at the All-Star team, and you had Bonds and Sosa was probably on it in 2004. So many other guys, even guys like Jeff Kent and Jeff Bagwell and Craig Biggio, you viewed those guys as stars back then. And you just don't have that. And especially on the pitching side of things. Now it hurts, DeGrom, Scherzer, Verlander, all those guys, they're getting older for one, but they're also oft injured at this point, including Kershaw, who's not on it as well. So the injuries have kind of hurt things, but there have been guys make the All-Star team that I'm like, really? And really the All-Star game in every single sport has been watered down here the past 3 or 4 years, and it's no longer appointment viewing, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, I used to get pumped up for the home run derby.
Mhm.
I couldn't tell you the last time I sat through the whole thing.
I usually watch I don't even remember watching it last year. But again, star power not there. Yep. I don't think I saw Ohtani's not doing it. Harper's not doing it.
So they did add a guy on the Rangers for the hometown crowd.
Probably Garcia, I imagine, because he has a ton of power. I didn't see that. But a guy like Alec Boehm's in it.
I'll look up who's in it.
He has 10 homers this year. Jose Ramirez should be considered a superstar, but he's not because he plays in Cleveland. But he's in it. Marcell Ozuna should not be celebrated or in it because of his many transgressions over the past couple years with his DUI arrest and beating his girlfriend and all that.
Looks like we have Gunnar Henderson.
Gunnar Henderson is an absolute superstar. I will give him that.
Alec Boehm, Pete Alonso, of course.
Alonso's a
Bobby
bomb.
Witt.
Bobby Witt's a star. I'll give him that.
Marcell Ozuna, Jose Ramirez, Adolis Garcia.
Yeah.
That's the committed ones. They had interested Ohtani, Toscar Hernandez, and then not participating Aaron Judge, Yordan Alvarez, Juan Soto.
Yeah. The young guns, Gunnar Henderson, 23 years old, has 27 homers. Already we're 6.2 wins above replacement. We're here July, whatever it is, 10th. Bobby Witt Jr., superstar. So there are some stars coming up, but we don't have those prime superstars, 28 to 32 years old with, of course, Harper and Ohtani's in that. Is Ohtani in there? I think Ohtani's in that age. It was a pretty disappointing list, honestly.
And you might be able to have this answer. I don't know. I just saw how many All-Star appearances the reserve players have. I didn't see the starters. Chris Sale for the Braves, this is his 8th All-Star appearance. Do you think that's the most out of anybody in this year's game?
I would think it is. I don't know who else is in it.
I mean, just think all those years ago, Willie Mays made 24 of these.
Yeah, it's crazy. I don't think we'll ever see that. Of course,
I don't think we'll ever see guys get half.
Yeah. I don't think we'll see players play 24 years anymore.
No.
I would say 8's probably the most, especially if like a Verlander or Scherzer's not in it or Kershaw's not in it.
How many has Trout made?
Trout's made over 8, I would imagine.
Has he made over 8? Okay.
But he's not in it, so.
But yeah, he's hurt. I mean, that's the thing. If he could just stayed healthy, he'd probably make even more. But.
Yeah. I probably won't watch too much of it, if any. There's not really. I mean, I used to tune in to watch the Cubs guys go, but they have one guy in, Shota.
There's so many teams who only have one guy this year, it seems like.
Yeah. I mean, every team needs a representative, which I think it's stupid. Because you do
there's
have
sports like that, right? Or does the NFL have that rule?
I don't think the NFL has that rule. The NBA obviously can't. No, there's too many. I guess they could, 15 in each league, but that would never happen.
And then there would be so many superstars that get gypped if that happened.
Yeah. So, it's a watered down, which everything's kind of watered down these days anyways.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, the All-Star break is next week. Mercifully, I should say, for Cubs fans.
They had a better week last week than they've been having.
They went 3-3 last week.
It's not saying much, but
you're not going to make up too much ground going 3-3 during weeks. They have won 4 of their last 5, so don't let the Cubbies.
I'm just saying the hashtag Fire Jed wasn't out in full force like it has been.
I was also on a lake in Wisconsin, so that help matters. And it's hard to put hashtag Fire Jed when they win a game, which is as stupid as that sounds. I
wonder if you ever did a hashtag Fire Beckman when Illinois won a game. I bet you did. I bet you at some point in the game did, and then they squeaked one out against a Central Michigan or something.
I probably did after games because I wanted him gone so much. But I mean, the reality of it, he was probably a pretty good coach. Honestly, started 2-10, 4-8, 6-6, and then he gets fired because of mistreatment of players. Which looking back, it was pretty minor. Looked like
they were probably just looking for some reason to get rid of him.
Probably he was a goofus, and I don't know where he is now.
I was gonna say I don't think he's coordinator. Has he been a coordinator? I'm gonna look him up.
He I don't think he ever got back into at least college football.
I'm gonna look him up, see what good old Timmy Beckman's up to.
It's crazy because when that happened, Mike Thomas was their athletic director. He fires him August, like right before the season, like a week before the season. It was like late August. Bill Cubitt takes over, goes 5-7. Mike Thomas gets fired in November, the athletic director, and they were the laughingstock of the Big Ten as far as their administration and all of that. Then they go and hire a D3 athletic director, Josh Whitman, and he has turned them into he might be the most powerful athletic director there is in college athletics right now, which is hard to believe. He's a young guy. He's leading all these committees. And finally, they have a non-goofus. That's the second time I've used the word goofus.
Yeah. Put on a shirt.
leading the charge. I know his Lovie Smith hire failed, but Underwood, he knocked it out of the park. And Bielema has made them significantly more competitive than they were the previous, decade.
So Beckman has not had a job after Illinois. His head coaching record's 33-41. He actually took, in 2016, he took a volunteer assistant defensive coach job with the Tar Heels, and then he was getting scrutinized so bad he resigned the next day. Didn't want to be a distraction. But it's interesting, you talked about his controversies at Illinois. I didn't know about this. He also had one in Toledo in 2013.
Interesting.
Former player Kyle Cameron sued Beckman, the University of Toledo, and 5 members of Beckman's staff at Toledo for negligence and for violating Ohio's anti-hazing law.
So he was doing that same stuff back then.
Yep.
Interesting. There's no place in the game today, and people will call you out on it if you do that. So, yeah.
Yeah, his record at Toledo was 21-16, 17-7 in the conference. At Illinois, 12-25 with a 4-20 conference record.
Yeah, I will never forget his first Big Ten win. It was the Darrell Hazel led Purdue against the Tim Beckman led Illini. I think Illinois won by 4, and it was like 26 degrees or something like that.
I was not feeling well there in that game for reasons we're not going to discuss on this podcast.
Did you go to the game?
Oh, yeah. I did miss games. Even how pathetic those teams were. Yes.
Man, you really, looking back, had a rough college. I mean, you had a pretty good start to your college years. But then towards the end, I mean, they were horrendous in football, and then they were bad in basketball too.
Bad in basketball. The one year, I forget if it was 2013 or 14. I think it was 14. They finished last in both. No, it was 13. They finished last in both in the conference, both football and men's basketball. Now, since I went 4.5 years, I did the half victory lap. That freshman-led class of Dakota Mathias, Vince Edwards, Isaac Haas, and PJ Thompson were starting to get. Yeah. You could tell, and they did make the tournament that year, and they got beat by Cincinnati. But they were starting to come around because we've talked about it a few times on this podcast. Of that, they don't make the tournament that year. Matt Painter's probably fired.
Probably is. Yeah.
Yep. But yeah, I mean, they made 2 bowl games in my 5 football seasons there, but the other 3 were very forgettable seasons. So.
Yeah. And we've talked about those 2 basketball seasons a lot. That was probably huge. Good for Matt Painter going forward because he knew what to, because he kind of started recruiting, the stars next to their name instead of guys that would fit his system and
100%.
Culture. And he completely switched it. And, 10 years later, he's in a national title game. So
100%. Sure. And what a weird rabbit hole we just went down out of talking about baseball All-Star Game to.
How did we manage that? Fire Jed to fire Beckman to All right, there we go.
Rabbit holes.
Yeah. Going back to baseball, though, I want to play a little pretender contender here.
Yeah.
Starting with the American League, are the Boston Red Sox a contender or a pretender?
Pretender. That's going to come out of me. No, honestly, they've been better this year than I thought they were going to be.
I agree.
But I just think in that division, it's going to beat each other. Everybody's going to beat each other up, and they're going to be. They're gonna have a better season than people thought, but they're gonna be on the outside looking in for one of those wild card spots.
Yeah, they are 10 games over 500, 6.5 out of the division. They do have a wild card spot, and they're looks like 2 games up for the final wild card spot. There, I'm gonna go because the trade deadline's coming up. I'm going contender.
You think they're gonna buy some guys?
They should buy. I don't know if they will though, because I think
they're cheap. They're cheap ownership.
Yeah. Yeah, they've definitely turned into a cheap ownership group, which is hard to believe that it's the same owner that won in 4, 7, 13, and 18.
He's kind of, what else do you want from me? Type
it's exactly it. But yeah, they've gotten really good pitching. I think they could use some outfield help. Assuming they buy.
Surprising. Their pitching's been surprising.
Yeah. They have a rookie president of baseball ops / GM who they actually got from the Cubs and forget his name. Craig Breslow is his name. So it'll be interesting to see his motivation at the deadline, or maybe not motivation, but his strategy at the deadline this year. But as of right now, I mean, they were 12 back of the Yankees, and now all of a sudden they're 3.5 back of the Yankees.
Wow.
Speaking of the Yankees, I know they are pretty safely in, but pretender or contender? I have to throw it out there.
I think they are contender, but this is just when you think, all right, Aaron Boone's gonna pull this off. He's safe. They went 5 in like 16 or 5. It's something just dumb in their last so many games. They're even last night. They make a fake rally against the Rays. It's just something. Sometimes with these franchises, you wonder what's going on inside the locker room.
Yeah.
I think something's off there with the Yankees, but they need the All-Star break to come as bad as anybody in baseball right now. So.
Yeah, they have 2 superstar hitters in Soto and Judge, but outside of that, DJ LeMahieu's been terrible. Anthony Volpe's been terrible the past 2 months. Rizzo,
Torres hasn't been good.
Yeah, nothing. Torres has been bad. Stanton can't stay healthy. When he's in there, he's bad. Aaron Boone, the past 3 years, has had the same exact quote when it's gotten tough. He has said, on August 10th, 2022, he has said, it's right in front of us. July 15th, 2023, it's all there right in front of us. July 7th, 2024, it's all there right in front of us. So, and I have some stats here. The Yankees start well, usually under Aaron Boone. 2018, they started 50-22. Then they went 18-19. 2020, 16-6. Then they went 5-15. 21, 28-19. Then went 23-28. 2022, they started 61-23. They finished the season 38-40 and were swept in the ALCS. Last year, they started 36-25. They finished the year 46-55 and missed the playoffs. And then this year, they started 49-21, and they are 6-18 cents. So
yeah, that's incredible once you put it out there in numbers like that.
Yeah, and some more Yankee stats here that I have favorited. Since Garrett Cole came back to the rotation June 13th, Cole has a 6.75 ERA, which, again, he's probably rusty, didn't have spring training, he was hurt and all that. So give him the benefit of the doubt. Nestor Cortez, pre-June 13th, 3.68 ERA. Post-June 13th, he's actually been better, 2.67. But then it's the rest of these guys. Luis Gil, 2.04 before, 7.59 cents. Rodon, 2.934, 10.89 cents. Stroman, 2.82 before June 13th, 6.43 cents. So they're not hitting. They're not pitching. It's just they've had some lapses in the field. Trent Grisham, ball hit up the middle to him in center field, and he just lollygagged to it, then fumbled the ball, and the guy got to second. Anthony Volpe doesn't sprint home, and DJ LeMahieu's tagged out before Volpe crosses home plate, run doesn't score, inning over. Stuff like that shouldn't happen.
Yeah.
I mean, you can deal with guys going through slumps and not pitching well. It's just those mental lapses. But if things continue to go poorly, I think Boone's got to be gone, right? Got to be.
Yeah, it's one of my 24 bold predictions, which we'll
Yeah.
get into here in a little bit. And I mean, I was saying it's get to the World Series or bust for him. It was the honeymoon was great at start 2018. Nobody expected anything. They're a couple outs away from making the World Series, but the Astros end up, we know how that ended. But ever since then, it hadn't been so good.
Yeah. So, let's see here. Contender, pretender. Let's go to the AL Central. Kansas City Royals.
I'm going to say contender. I don't know why. Maybe just because I want to see Bobby Witt in the playoffs.
Yeah, I'm with you. They are 2 games behind the Boston Red Sox. The Royals are 6 games over 500. I would love to see Bobby Witt Jr. in the playoffs. They need to add some offense because their pitching's been very good for the most part. I mean, they're getting good stuff from Seth Lugo and Cole Reagans and Brady Singer and Michael Wacha, even 3.79 ERA as a team. But they are 10th in on base percentage. They're middle of the pack slugging, batting average. Getting great stuff from Bobby Witt Jr., but they could really use some help, especially at third base and all throughout the outfield. They're not getting much production at all. So if they can trade for some outfield help, Cody Bellinger's out there for you guys.
Even though that city wins enough in football, they almost don't deserve to have success in baseball too. But
yeah. I don't hate their baseball team.
No, but man, if they become really good too, it's gonna be like,
yeah.
I mean that'd be because Kansas City's one of those rare markets that only has 2 teams.
Yeah, no NBA team. Used to have an NBA team.
No NHL team either,
or no NHL team. AL West, we have the Seattle Mariners. They are leading the division, but they're 50-43.
I want them to be a contender, but
me too.
I want to pull the trigger on pretender because I think the Astros are going to win the division.
I agree with you. They have the best pitching staff in the league. They're number 1 in ERA. However, you look at the division winners or the division leaders so far, I should say. Team batting average of first place teams. The Phillies are hitting 260, Orioles 256, Dodgers 256, Brewers 256, Guardians 246. The Seattle Mariners are hitting 216. As a team, they don't have a qualified hitter with an OPS in the 700s.
How does that
They need
happen?
help. I don't know. Julio Rodriguez the past 2 years has kind of been a bust. We thought he'd be the superstar after his rookie year when he was 19, 20 years old. It hasn't materialized. They need help offensively all throughout the outfield, infield, like everywhere, because their pitching staff's good enough to win you a World Series. But you got to score runs eventually. They're up to 218 now. Batting average. They're 299 on base, 367 slugging. That's not going to get it done.
Do they have the pieces in the farm system to go make some moves to get them help?
The problem is a lot of their pieces are at the major league level because a lot of them, they had a really good farm system the past couple of years, but they traded a bunch of guys for Luis Castillo, and then a lot of their top prospects were all pitchers who are now pitching in the big leagues very well.
Right.
And George Kirby and a few other guys there who's Logan Gilbert and Brian Wu and Emerson Hancock and all these guys, Bryce Miller, all came up through the system. So their farm system's a little depleted. So it'll be interesting. They'd have to get creative. And maybe, I know they've been mentioned for guys like Nico Horner, Cody Bellinger, which it could just be more of a salary dump for the Cubs, which is probably not the worst move in the world at this point because they have a bunch of mid-level prospect depth that they would probably be getting for those guys, and they need some salary freedom there heading into the offseason where they'll spend a whole $10 like usual. Astros, I think, are a contender. I think they'll win the division. They're only 2 games back now.
We knew their slow start was a fluke.
Yeah. Texas Rangers are an interesting one. They're 44-48, and they're only 5.5 out of the West.
I'm going to say contender. I mean, they're defending World Series champs. They got a good pitching staff. If it comes together, I think they'll be in the mix.
The National League's pretty it's wide open, but at the same time
it's wide open and jumbled. It's weird.
Yeah.
It's like,
I would say the Braves are a contender. I mean, they haven't
yes,
played that great. New York Metropolitans.
I'm never saying they're a contender. I don't care if they're the best team in baseball.
Yeah.
Like, I hate them worse than I hate the Red Sox. So
Yeah, I can't stand the Mets either. They're a game and a half back of a playoff spot. I'm going to go contender.
I was surprised they only had one All-Star, Alonso. I thought they had a couple snubs. So
Yeah, I thought Lindor probably should have done it. So let's see here. The St. Louis Cardinals.
Pretender. Don't like them.
I don't like them either. They are 3.5 up. No,
They got
aren't.
2 double headers coming up. I got one tonight and got one Saturday.
The 3 up of a playoff spot right now.
So
yeah,
that's
Cubs doubleheader Saturday in St. Louis. That is my
Mhm.
hell right there.
They got one tonight against the Royals.
Yeah, unfortunately, I think they're a contender. They started off poorly, but they have one of the best records in the National League since like early May.
Right.
They're a very old team, geriatric pitching staffs. They need some help there. But could be their last kind of go of it beforehand, before these guys get even older. One team I'm going to throw in there that are under 500 is the Pittsburgh Pirates.
Team I really want to say contender, but I can't do it. Just haven't seen them be good enough in our lifetime.
Yeah. Paul Skeens became the first number 1 overall pick to make the All-Star team the following season. He is a superstar, and I hate it. And then you also have guys like Mitch Keller, 3.40 ERA. Jared Jones has been great. Skeens has been all world so far. He's been as advertised. They could use some bullpen help. Definitely offensively. They only have Brian Reynolds is their best hitter by far, and he's having a really good year. O'Neal Cruz is pretty solid at short, but they could use help at first base, third base. I know Brian Hayes is supposedly their guy at third base, but he's been bad. Their entire outfield, for the most part, has been bad besides McCutchen. They trade for some bats, and they got the farm to do it. They could be very interesting in the second half, but as of right now, I'm going to say Pretender, and I think they'll be a contender, if not the best team in the NL Central next year.
No Reds in the Pretender or contender.
If I throw the Reds in there, I'd have to throw the Cubs in there.
I know. I was just joking. We hear a lot about the Reds from our good friends. So
could see the Reds being fairly interesting in the second half of the year if they can kind of get healthy and piece it together. But
man, I was thinking about this last night. I was watching SportsCenter, which I never do. I was just couldn't.
I never watched.
I threw the TV on. It was on. I'm like, all right, I'll watch. So they were showing the Reds highlights. They've done a lot in the 70s, late 80s, early 90s. Haven't done much since. Could you ever see a franchise in baseball that have a ton of tradition like the Reds? And it doesn't have to be the Reds. It could be another franchise. Could you ever see somebody like that moving cities?
I'd like to say no. I guess the Raiders didn't have great tradition in Oakland. I mean, the A's moved to Oakland from Philadelphia.
Right.
The Expos, of course, moved to Washington, but they weren't the Expos for very long, in Montreal for that long, I should say.
And it seems like the teams that are always rumored, like the Rays, which isn't going to happen now because they're getting a new stadium, but they're not really what I call a traditional team.
I can't see the Reds because they've been around since 1876. And they have a. I mean, I make fun of them, but they have a good fan base that shows up, especially when the Cubs are there.
Well, but that's because the Cub fans. That's what I'm saying. I'm like, I don't know how good their fans really are for attendance.
I mean, you look at the White Sox aren't leaving, and they're terrible.
That's another team I was going to ask. How about the White Sox? Because there was that rumor last year of Nashville.
Yeah. Did you know the only reason Tropicana Field was built is for the White Sox?
I did not know that.
It was built for the White Sox, and Reinsdorf said, I think we're going to stay. I think we're
Tampa
just going to
Bay White Sox.
It kind of was like, okay, we're going to leave unless you give me public money to pay for my stadium, even though I'm a billionaire.
Yeah.
Fresh off, or starting the 6th championship run with the Chicago Bulls. Mm-hmm. Don't get me started on billionaires using public funds that's another podcast. No, to answer your question, I don't see the Reds moving. I mean, Yeah, I don't really see, besides Oakland, I can't really see any other team leaving. It's mainly they create these rumors. Hey, we're gonna leave, and then they get their stadium built.
They get their way.
Public
All the pro teams do that, or you see it in hockey more than anywhere else. Teams moving.
Yeah, it seems like in hockey significantly more. But teams now are starting to be entrenched, and once they build new stadiums, they're gonna be there for a long time.
Right.
Last one here, San Diego Padres.
Man, they got the talent to be a contender, but every year I hype them up more than I should.
Me too. I didn't this year though.
I'm gonna say Pretender. Last year they were my World Series champ, but
I'm gonna say Contender just because they have that final wild card spot, and the National League, especially at the bottom, is pretty poor. Even in the middle, it's pretty poor. And I just think San Diego has the talent, as you said, with Bogarts and Machado and Tatis. I think Bogarts is hurt though. Yu Darvish is out for a while though with a personal issue, so don't know what's going on there.
There's a name I forgot about.
But they're AJ Preller, wheels and deals, better than anyone. But unfortunately, he has mortgaged his team's future because that Juan Soto trade. They traded James Woods, number 2 prospect in baseball, just made his major league debut at 21 years old. Mackenzie Gore, one of the better lefty young starters in the game in the National League. And then you also have, who's the guy I'm missing? Now I'm missing a guy with the National. Oh, CJ Abrams, who's one of the better shortstops in the National League and made the All-Star team for the first time at 24 years old. So there is a downside to some of these deals. And I know Padres only had Soto for, a year and a half, and they mortgaged their future considerably. And did they make playoffs that year? Feels like they choked towards the end. They've choked every year towards the end, but yeah.
Yep.
I think that's all I have as far as Pretender or Contender. The MLB baseball draft is this weekend, which is very stupid that they moved it from early June into the All-Star break. I know the teams hate it, GMs hate it because, you have the draft and then 3 weeks later is the trade deadline. So it's just all condensed into one. But hey, Rob Manfred doesn't care about what the teams want. He just wants what he wants. So.
And I can't think it's a TV reason either because I can't think it gets tons of ratings on the MLB Network. I could be wrong.
No, not huge. This is actually my favorite draft is the baseball draft.
I know it is.
I absolutely love it. But Cubs are picking, I think they're picking 14th. They're kind of in a bad spot because now that they have added the lottery in Major League Baseball, it's kind of nice that, it's not nice it is nice for Reds fans because they finished like a game behind the Cubs, yet somehow they got the number 2 overall pick this year. But a couple guys of note here, Travis Bazana, I don't know how to pronounce his name. He's a second baseman, lefty second baseman from Oregon State. Ridiculous. He's from Australia. He's just puts up massive numbers for a really good baseball program. So he's projected number 1 overall pick. Charlie Condon, who has light tower power out of Georgia, hit like almost 40 homers this year, which in the BB Core era, that just doesn't happen. Remember when the BB Cores first came out in like 2010, 11, something like that? Teams wouldn't have guys hit 10 homers in the season. There was just a rare guy like Chris Bryant hit 31, and the next closest was like 15. Now I think they've juiced the bats a little bit, but still, this guy almost hit 40 homers. Felt like he was homering every single day. Jack Caglianone. I'm butchering these names, even though I've heard them so many times.
A lot better than I could do.
He's a lefty, ton of power, hit over 30 bombs. He's also a pitcher, and they think he could play both ways. They call him the next Shohei Ohtani. Some people do, but he's a lefty, throws almost 100 miles an hour. Those are kind of probably be your top 3. So this will be the J Man's Book It prediction of the week. I think who's picking 1 this year? I don't know who's picking 1.
I'll look it up.
Whoever's picking 1, I think they go. A lot of guys go below slot here because it's the slot value is like 8.5 million. I think they go Charlie Condon.
Guardians.
Cleveland does, huh? I didn't realize
Cleveland, then Cincinnati, then Colorado are your top 3.
Okay. Get some light tower power that can fly through your system, and they need some offensive help too, especially the power department there. in Cleveland. So J-Man's Booking Prediction of the Week brought to you by Indiana Farm Bureau Insurance Agent Travis Watching for life, home, auto, business, workers, renters, comp, and farm insurance. Contact Travis at 219-869-4561. His email is travis.watching@infb.com.
Yeah, it's interesting. You look at the top 10. The Guardians are good this year. Reds, no. Rockies, A's, no. White Sox, no. Royals, yes. Cardinals, yes. Angels, no. Pirates, hanging in there. And then Nationals. So
yeah, and Nationals are hanging in there. I know they did say they were gonna sell, but yeah. So I think that's all I got as far as baseball goes. Spent a good.
I think we covered a lot. Yeah, we covered a lot.
Yeah.
So you want to get educated?
Let's do her.
Let's look at some sporting events that happened on this day on July 10th. A lot of All-Star Game back in the day. Let's see here. On this day in 1964, who won the British Open?
64. I'm going to go with old Jack.
Jack was runner-up. A guy I have never heard of named Tony Lima won his only major title, 5 strokes ahead of Jack.
Never heard of Tony?
I haven't heard of the Tone Man.
What's wrong with you?
On this day, 1968, U.S. Major League Baseball, that's weird how it said that, announced they will split into 2 divisions for 1969.
They only had 1 division back then, and then they had the 2 divisions. It was the East and West until, I want to say till the Rockies and Marlins got there, 93 maybe? Maybe before that, because I know Cubs won the NL East in 89, so they were still in the East in 89. The 3 divisions, especially the Central divisions, are pretty new, 30 years old maybe.
Yep.
And that's all we grew up with, though.
It's crazy to think about.
Yeah.
On this day, 1971, who won the 100th British Open?
100th. I'm going to go with Tom Watson. He seems like
good guess. Lee Trevino. He won his first of consecutive Open Championship, a stroke ahead of Liu Liang Hong of Taiwan. Nice. On this day in 1975, you cricket expert, Test cricket debut of Graham Gooch versus Australia out for a pair.
Oh, man. Gooch is a legend.
Can you explain to me what that means?
Say it again. Slower down. I think I can get it for you.
Test cricket debut of Graham Gooch versus Australia out for a pair.
I don't know what that means. I favorited a bunch of stuff on TikTok that will hopefully help my knowledge. I kind of understand how the scoring works now. Don't ask me how. I'd have to go refresh my memory. But
on this day in 1976, who won the Men's British Open?
77. I'm going to go with Jack. He's got one.
Jack and Sylvie Ballesteros were runner-up behind this guy by 6 strokes. So it was this guy's second and last major title. My favorite, Johnny Miller.
Johnny. There you go.
On this day in 1990, the 61st All-Star Baseball Game was held at Wrigley Field. Mm-hmm. The AL won 2-0. Who was the MVP?
Was it Kirby Puckett?
It was a young chap back then by the name of Julio Franco of the Texas Rangers.
He probably wasn't young then either.
Probably wasn't.
He was probably in his 30s, mid-30s.
On this day in 1990, it was the final day of Test cricket for Richard Hadley of New Zealand.
Man, tough day.
He go down by 114 runs in 3rd Test versus England.
That made a little bit of sense.
A little more than the other one. On this day in 1992, the U.S. Major League Soccer folded after 14 seasons. But the
U.S. national team fired their coach today, or manager. Or
I saw that too.
Couldn't tell you his name, nor do I care. But
on this day, 1999, the FIFA Women's World Cup was played in the Rose Bowl in Pasadena, California. The U.S. beat China 5-0 on penalties. It was 0-0 for the game. So Brandy Chastain, the taking off the shirt and sliding.
That's when that happened?
Yep. I'm pretty sure. Or maybe that was the World. No, that was the World Cup. Yeah, FIFA World Cup. Yeah, 99. Yeah. On this day in 2001, the 72nd All-Star Game was held at Safeco Field. The AL beat the NL 4-1. Who was MVP? It doesn't say here, but I know who it was, so that's why I'm asking.
A-Rod, Cal Ripken Jr.?
It was Cal Ripken. He hit a home run in his first
That's
at
right.
bat.
He hit a home run too.
Yep. On this day in 2007, the 78th All-Star Game was held in San Francisco at AT&T Park. The AL won 5-4. It does not say who's the MVP.
I think it was Ichiro because he hit an inside the park homer.
And on this day in 2012, the 83rd All-Star Game was held in Kauffman Stadium, Kansas City. The NL won 8-0.
It's probably their first one in a long time. I remember the Cubs' 2 All-Star recipients that year were Starlin Castro, makes sense, and Brian LaHare, one half-season wonder. I don't know one MVP.
No, it doesn't say. On this day in 2019, Kawhi Leonard signed with the Los Angeles Clippers for a 3-year, $103 million contract.
That's pennies these days.
Yep. Hadn't really worked out for him.
No, it hasn't.
Really worked out for him. I saw the NBA. Did you see the NBA TV rights deal?
I did not.
It's, let's see. I'm going to bring it up here. It was 4 hours ago. NBA finalizes TV deal with ESPN, NBC, and Amazon, but TNT could still match. So this TV deal with, so they're finalizing the contracts that will make NBC and Amazon Prime Video's new partners while maintaining ABC and ESPN as the home of the NBA Finals under agreements that will extend for 11 seasons and be worth $76 billion with a B dollars. TNT, it says David Zaslav, who's their CEO, stated he may attempt to use language in the current contract to remain involved with NBA. It looks like he has 5 days to match part of the offer. So I believe, if I understand this correctly, he could try to match the Amazon part. He's not going to try to match the NBC part probably. But billion and it's quite a bit of money, even the Amazon part. So if TNT does not come up with this money, first time in 40 years that TNT's not going to have NBA.
The NBA is not worth $76 billion. The NBA is not worth $5 billion.
The current agreement, ESPN and TNT pay combined $2.6 billion on a 9-year season agreement.
That is much more reasonable.
Yeah, it was going up to $76 billion over 11 years. You think
there's no shot? You sure it's not $7.6 billion?
It said 76.
That's crazy. That's mind blowing. Also,
I'm gonna read that one more time.
The NFL's not worth $76 billion.
I'm gonna read that one more time, but I'm pretty sure it said 76. No, it says 76.
Jeez, that is wild.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
Yeah, TV. I mean, the NBA is such a global sport; it's unbelievable.
That is.
But still, the NFL is king of everything. And
it is, but the NBA is much more global than the NFL.
It is. So. It is. Well, that is the On This Day segment, which is brought to you by, like it is every week, Mooney Woodcrafts. Mooney Woodcrafts is a veteran-owned and operated woodcraft shop based out of Texas with Indiana grassroots. They provide 100% hand-cut custom designs that fit your needs, and their pieces are a great addition to any home, office, or man cave. You can see some of their recently completed projects by visiting them at Mooney Woodcrafts on Instagram and on Facebook. And if you let them know the Tan and J-Man Show sent you, you get 15% off your first sign order. And I showed the picture of it a few weeks ago. Thad was in Indiana last week, so I was able to meet up with him, and I got one of his recently completed projects in my hand right here.
It's beautiful. Yeah. Good stuff.
So he was kind enough to make my wife and I a sign for our wedding presents. So now we just got to find the perfect spot in the house to hang it.
Yes, sir. You want to do some pick six here real quick?
Let's do it.
Starting with number 1, Joey Chestnut.
Man loves his hot dogs. Loves his food. Indiana's own Joey Chestnut. He's born and raised in Indiana. Still lives in Indiana. I did not watch any of his special on Netflix against Kobayashi, but I didn't even watch the hot dog eating contest. I usually do because I'm interested to see what Joey's going to do, how he's going to smash his own record. Didn't watch it this year.
Yeah, the winner had what, like 57 in 10 minutes?
The women's winner broke the women's record 54.
Wow. And Chestnut had like 58 in 5 minutes.
10 minutes. How many plain dogs is J-Man putting down? 10 minutes.
8 or 9. I'm not trying to go too fast.
I like plain hot dogs. That's how I eat them. I'm weird like that. 10 minutes. If I really wanted to didn't care if I puked, I could probably reach 8 or 9. but I think probably 6 is more likely for me in 10 minutes.
I'd be scared I'd choke trying too fast to go too fast.
I mean, no, I ate 6 last year one time with my wife when I made hot dogs, and I about puked eating 6 and taking my time. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
There is a kind of cheating scandal at the Nathan's hot dog eating. Did you see this today?
Really?
Barstool tweeted it out, so take it with a grain of salt. But a guy who finished with 46, his official time was actually 51, but video shows that he only ate 46. They think he was stealing, like when the people weren't like a sleight of hand, taking people's plates and putting it next to his. So
Too many cameras for that, man.
I know. Mike Gundy.
He's a man. He's not 40 anymore. He's like,
No.
what was that? 2007. So he's like 57. Just said some of the dumbest comments I've ever heard yesterday. Trying to prove a point of why he chose the length of punishment for Ollie Gordon, one of the nation's best running backs, let alone players, and just how he came off as just arrogant. I can say whatever I want. I'm not going to get in trouble. I think the guy is a good coach, but I've wondered for years when's that marriage between him and Oklahoma State going to end. But
he's not a very likable guy either.
No, he's not. So. No, he's not. They're going to be tough to. They're going to be a contender in that Big 12.
Yeah, their quarterback is playing in his 6th year or 7th year. Alan Bowman played against Will Greer when Will Greer was at Florida. So, third one here, Chris Paul.
Crap. Retire, please.
Yeah.
Bravo to Darren Williams. He retired when he knew he was done.
Yeah.
Chris Paul's been hanging on by a thread for like 5 years. He went ring chasing, didn't work. So now he's like, if I'm not playing, I'm not happy. I'm going to Spurs.
And
just get out of here.
He's not going to win a ring there.
No, just get out of here.
Anyway,
tired of it.
DeMar DeRozan.
Last I knew, he was still a free agent. Did he get paid by somebody?
It was a sign and trade. Bulls traded him to the Sacramento Kings for.
I did not see that.
Chris Duarte and 2 second-round picks.
Kings should be good.
They should be good. Yeah, that's a good pickup because the Kings. It was a 3-team trade. I think the Kings traded Harrison Barnes to San Antonio. Okay. So DeMar pretty much takes over for Harrison Barnes, and DeMar's a lot better than Barnes. So.
Yeah, he's made like 7 or 8 All-Star games, I believe, in his career.
Yeah, he's had a good career.
I could not believe that.
Yeah.
So some Hall of Famers only made like 5.
So. One Chicago Bulls fan. He wasn't even a Bull. Well, was he a Bulls fan? Said that DeMar's the best player since Jordan.
No. I know Derrick Rose got hurt, but Derrick Rose when he's healthy, no doubt.
Yeah. Kawhi Leonard.
We just talked about him. I don't think he's been good ever since he left Toronto.
Yeah, he pulled out of the Olympics today because of injuries. Shocking.
No. He doesn't seem too motivated.
He doesn't. That might just be his personality.
Yeah.
He's won at least 2 rings.
Yeah.
One of the best two-way players we've seen, but the past 5 or 6 years of him not being healthy, his legacy is kind of tainted a little bit. So, last one here, we talked about him a bunch, actually, Aaron Boone.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't mind Joe Girardi either, but I've been an Aaron Boone fan, but it's time to put up or shut up.
Yeah.
From here on out, like you said, he's been quoted saying the same thing year after year. Well, I don't know. Try to switch it up. Try something different. We'll see. I don't know. It's part of my 24 bold predictions, which we're going to talk about here momentarily. So that is going to do a good Pick 6 segment, J-Man, like always. Brought to you by, like us every week, Performer Print 2 Promo Group. If you're looking for a trustworthy, dependable resource for your next trade show, company picnic, or sales meeting in 2024, Performa Print 2 Promo Group has over 50 years combined experience in promotional products and commercial print. They strive for fast and efficient response to all your print needs, so you need to look no further. Let them be your one-source print and promotional company today by giving Barbara Van Weinsberg a call at 574-210-3815. 24 bold predictions for 2024. Now that we're in July, let's see how we are doing here. Starting off with the J-Man's bold predictions. First one off the bat is in red. That's not good. That means you've already missed it. Roy McIlroy, you said would win the Masters. Gotta have to wait till 2025. Number 2, the Chicago Cubs will finish last in the NL Central.
They're on pace.
There. You could be
They're on pace.
Number 3, so close. Wish you were right on this one. A Big Ten team would win the national championship for the first time since 2000. So close. Really wish you were right.
I'm glad I wasn't right.
Number 4, you thought the Buffalo Bills would win the Super Bowl. I'm sure you're glad
I was wrong. I'm glad for that one.
Number 5, you said the Big Ten would only get 5 teams in the NCAA tournament. They got more than that.
I think they got 6.
Yeah. Number 6, you were spot on. You said Jim Harbaugh will leave Michigan for the NFL.
Yeah.
Going to the Chargers. Number 7, you thought Christian McCaffrey would win the NFL MVP.
Did he?
No, it was
Was it Lamar again?
Was it Lamar or was it Patrick?
I think it was Lamar. Pat didn't have that great of a year.
Okay.
If I remember.
Number 8, you said Los Angeles Dodgers will win at least 115 games, but lose in NLDS.
The 115 part's not going to happen.
Number 9, I wish you were right here. You said the NFL would hire full-time referees. Didn't happen.
Yeah.
Number 10 through 14, we're going to have to see how it plays out. Actually, number 13, we'll get to 13. Number 10, the Texas Rangers will not repeat as World Series champions.
I'm on pace. Looks good.
Number 11, Bill Belichick retires. I gave you that one because he kind of did. I mean, in a way, I don't know. Number 12, you said Aaron Rodgers will play all 17 games, and the Jets will miss the playoffs. Number 13, you said 13 of the 14 Big Ten basketball coaches would return, but Juwan Howard won't. At the time when you made that, Holtman was still the coach at Ohio State.
Oh, yeah.
So I don't know.
Wouldn't see that. Nah, yeah. I mean, it doesn't count. Doesn't count because he didn't return.
Number 14, you're saying Tyreek Hill will go over 2,000 receiving yards.
There might have too many weapons around him this year that he won't get as many targets.
Number 15, you thought Washington would beat Michigan to win the national championship.
Wrong.
Did not happen. Number 16, you said Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift will get engaged. Still got time. Number 17, the MLB will implement a challenge system for balls and strikes.
It's getting closer.
Yeah, getting closer. Number 18, you thought the Lions would make the Super Bowl.
Almost.
Close.
Yeah.
Number 19, you said Oregon will win the Big Ten football championship. They could. They'll be up there. Favorites. Number 20, you said Caleb Williams would not get drafted number 1 overall in the NFL draft.
I'm an idiot.
You said Marvin Harrison Jr. would get drafted number 1 overall in the NFL draft. Number 22, you said Quinshon Judkins will win the Heisman Trophy this year for the Ohio State. You also said, speaking of Ohio State, Ryan Day will get fired for losing to Michigan yet again.
Book it.
And you said this will be Dabo Swinney's final season at Clemson.
Book it.
Let's see how mine are doing. Right off the bat, I got a couple rights. I said Purdue basketball would repeat as Big Ten champions. They were 2 games behind when I made that prediction.
Still kind of low-hanging fruit there.
Number 2, I said they'd make their first Final Four since 1980.
That was good.
I was correct with that. Number 3, I said Purdue football will make a bowl game. They're going to have their work cut out for them with their schedule. Number 4, I really hope this comes true. Deion Sanders would leave Colorado after the 2024 season. Number 5, I was right. Along with you, Jim Harbaugh would be an NFL coach in 2024. Number 6, I got wrong. I said the Bears would keep Justin Fields and trade the number 1 overall pick. Number 7, I said Russell Wilson would be a starting quarterback in 2024, just not in Denver. He is starting. Well, presumably he's going to be starting for the Steelers. Number 8, I said the Broncos would draft a QB in the first round. They did so, drafting Bo Nix. Number 9, I did not get right. I said there'd be 5 quarterbacks selected in the first round of the NFL draft. There were 6. Number 10, I said 2024 will be Aaron Boone's last season as the Yankees manager. Number 11, I said at least 2 of the 4 majors will be won by players from LIV. Somebody next week needs to win the British Open for that to become true. Number 12, I was wrong. I said the Timberwolves, Thunder, Clippers, or Kings would win the NBA championship. Number 13, I was right. I said the Joker would win his 3rd NBA MVP in the last 4 years. Number 14, I was wrong. I said Mike Vrabel would be the New England Patriots head coach in 2024. They wanted to draw in Mayo instead. Number 15, I said the Big Ten would have 3 teams in the college football playoff. I said this season would be the last for at least 2 Big Ten basketball coaches. I was technically correct if we're counting Chris Holtman. Number 17, I said the Phillies would win the World Series. We'll see on that. Number 18, I said the state of Indiana would get at least 3 teams in the NCAA tournament. That did not happen. Number 19, I said Sean McVay would step away. That did not happen as well. Number 20, Ricky Fowler will win a major championship. Unless he gets it done next week, that's not happening. I said the U.S. will win the medal count in the Olympics. We'll have to keep an eye on that at the end of this month. said Caitlin Clark would be drafted number 1 by Indiana Fever. That did happen. I said Carson Beck would win the Heisman Trophy. We'll see on that. And I said the NBA will announce the return of the Seattle Supersonics. Hasn't happened yet, but it's gaining more steam every day.
It's interesting you just said my bold prediction about the challenge system, because Rob Manfred just 5 minutes ago said he's been meeting with players for 3 years, discussing the issues with them, and it's clear players prefer a challenge-type system. The umpires do an unbelievable job, and we need more testing.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. So,
all right.
Birdie or
bogey?
Birdie or bogey? Name me the 4 active QBs that have the most career playoff wins.
Patrick Mahomes.
Patrick Mahomes is number 1 with 15.
Russell Wilson.
Russell Wilson is number 4 with 9.
That doesn't help me at all. I was hoping he'd be like 2. He has 9.
Yes.
Aaron Rodgers.
Aaron Rodgers is number 2 with 12, so you got at least a par, my friend.
There's 2 guys I'm between right now in this sort of deal. Is it Joe Flacco?
Got yourself a birdie, my friend. The black man with 10.
Boom! The first 2 that popped into my head were Mahomes and Flacco, but then after you said Wilson was 4th, all right, we're tied.
After Wilson, it drops down to Burrow, Allen, Goff, and Garoppolo all with 5.
I almost said Brock Purdy because he had a good run the past 2 years.
4, and so is Matthew Stafford.
I was thinking of Stafford as well. I'm glad I didn't say Stafford. I almost did. Thanks for watching the Tan and J-Man Show. We'll be back at her on Monday, hopefully, with another episode.